Speaking of a PlayStation game, I want to talk a little bit about PlayStation because they just released. When was this? This was very recently. I'm not seeing on YouTube. I think when it was released, within the last few days, they released a live action advertisement on the television in which they kind of showcase games that have already come out on the PlayStation 5, games that will be coming out on the PlayStation 5. And there's a little bit in this trailer that has got the internet a rumbling and a tumbling, wondering, is PlayStation teasing the return of Uncharted? Because, and before I press play, I think it's worth mentioning a story we didn't get to talk about last week just because of the show that we did last week, reviewing the Callisto Protocol. There, Neil Druckmann said in an interview that Naughty Dog has essentially moved on from the Uncharted franchise, and they are considering moving on from The Last of Us if they don't have a story to tell, which, spoiler alert, they got a story to tell. It's going to be The Last of Us Part 3. It's coming. I think that was just his way of saying, like, it doesn't matter the franchise. If we don't have a story to tell, we're not going to do it. But he was being coy, but I do take him at his word that at least for the distant future, they are done with Uncharted. But that doesn't mean that PlayStation is done with Uncharted. So let's watch this trailer. Let me know if you can hear it. And then let's talk about it.
This is live from PS5. Let's go now to our first story.
The good people of Manhattan woke up to a gift from their favorite hero as he delivered a gang of criminals on something of a webbed platter.
Historic scenes unfolding in San Francisco.
Eloy, the first of her tribe to have laid eyes on this scene in over 2,000 years.
Oavsett om det här är skimmervinter eller inte.
お伝えしてます。気をご覧ください。召喚獣同士の戦いは激しさを増してます。
Unsure whether to call a doctor or a gardener.
Experts are linking all of these events to an increase in activity on PS5.
Story's coming a little faster. Ship crash lands on
It was
the
just
challenge right next
strange
week. Sorry
occurrence.
to cut you off there.
Shades of
Unprecedented in today's
Let's
news.
go right now.
This was live from PS5, bringing you the extraordinary.
So it is certainly a blink and you miss it moment.
I think I caught it.
But we cover Spider-Man, we cover Horizon, we cover Stray, we cover Ratchet, there's like a quick Ghost of Tsushima moment. But then there's this moment, if you're watching on video, there's a woman with a torch in a cave. And then it comes back ever so briefly, a few seconds later with her, let's see if I can find it in the scrub, with her going up to that object and kind of blowing on it. You know what, let's do this. I opened up another. Let's go to this tab. This is from the Game Informer. I pulled some shots from their website.
Okay.
So this is the second shot in that trailer. So this is the first, and then this is the second. And so everything else, the icons is referring to Final Fantasy 16 upcoming. We got like everything is accounted for in this trailer, except this. And people online seem to think it's Uncharted, and I think it makes sense, Cayman, and I'm curious what you think based on this information.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, out of all of the PlayStation properties, I think that's really the only one that makes sense for.
Unless it's Tomb Raider, I guess.
I don't think Tomb Raider, they don't own the rights to Tomb Raider, and everything that they've had are all things that are like first-party release games. So Tomb Raider doesn't make sense for me. The only other thing I could think of is potentially they're talking about Horizon again. But even that doesn't make a lot of sense for what we're seeing on screen with the torch, with the fact that she's dressed like that. That also doesn't, like, she's wearing the shawl that Nathan Drake wears. So, like, I think my thing is, like, maybe we should, like, you can, or maybe, I mean, once she's got the grappling hook. So that's another tell for me. She's got the,
oh yeah, down here.
Yeah, she's got everything that would be Uncharted, right? So here's my one thing is, I don't know if this means it's coming back. It could just be a nod to the fact that Uncharted is one of their biggest properties. And they've done this in the past before with things like Crash Bandicoot. They've done in the past with, I think, you know what this could be? This whole trailer. This could potentially be the first teaser we get for PlayStation All-Stars 2. PlayStation All-Stars 2, guys. Calling it today.
All right. I mean, you've been right in the past with these bold predictions.
That's a prediction that will never come true. That shit is never coming true. But it is interesting because they are showing like everything they've showed has been like within the last 2 years. Like we got Destiny 2, which I mean, obviously one of the leaks is apparently Lightfall, the new Destiny expansion, is going to be part of PlayStation Plus. We got Spider-Man, including Miles Morales.
Yep.
We get God of War Ragnarok. We get Horizon Forbidden West. Stray, as you mentioned. So we're getting Final Fantasy 16. That's the only one I can think.
Right?
Unless maybe it's God of War. But even that doesn't make a ton of sense.
No.
Ratchet and Clank? Yeah.
So there are two technically like not first party games featured in this trailer. One of them is Stray. Technically it's not a first party. It is an exclusive though.
Sure.
And then the other, they do feature Callisto Protocol ever so briefly, but that's because they have like a what do you call it? Like a deal for advertising. So anytime you see a Callisto Protocol deal, I'm not finding it here, but there is a moment.
Yeah, it's another kind of blink and you miss it.
Yeah, it's a blink and you miss it thing. Yeah, we got Gran Turismo. So like they have that that partnership at the moment, and so it's the only thing that doesn't. The only other thing that I can think of is that potentially this is them saying like Uncharted Lost Legacy because you play as Chloe there, but like because there is a potential here if it is a continuation of Uncharted that would include spoilers. So they're like with the way that the fourth game ended, potentially this is a character from that situation. If you remember what I'm referring to, I assume you do.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I don't want to, in case. I mean, I think it's a 7-year-old game. We could spoil it probably, but yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see. I find it sus, to use a word of the times, that everything else isn't accounted for.
So there it was back in the day, and I'm trying to remember who it was who was rumored to do it. And part of me wants to say it might have been Sony Bend was rumored to potentially be remaking the first Uncharted game under Naughty Dog supervision. I want to say it was either that or Sony San Diego, but that doesn't seem right to me.
I know there were rumors. I don't remember of it being specifically Uncharted 1 remake. It very well could have been. I don't remember what about Uncharted it was, but I do remember there were rumors. I think it was either like a San Diego or like a Santa Monica team. It was someone in the Sony San family that was rumored to be working on an Uncharted something. So maybe that's announced soon.
But yeah, okay, so here's the thing. Days Gone. Not in that at all.
Well, it's a dead franchise, right?
Yeah, but Uncharted is technically a dead franchise now.
Or is it?
See, that's the thing. So like what makes me think is like if we start using that brain power, and we put two and two together and be like, okay, well, you guys keep saying Uncharted is dead. And you're showing us like a little snippet of something that looks very Uncharted, but we don't see any snippets of like Days Gone. It's like, why are you bringing? Because we know Ratchet and Clank isn't dead. We know we're getting more Ratchet and Clank. That game was fucking massive.
Yeah. I'm sure there's an Insomniac team working on the next Ratchet right now.
Do we know who Blue Point is? Like what they're working on yet?
We don't know. I don't think we know what Blue Point's working on. It could be maybe
I know they've said that they're working on like an original property, but the question is an original property to them? And when we say original property, are we saying like new property it is going to be a new game from an existing property?
Because here's the thing. This video, before it was published on YouTube, to a channel that has 14.6 million subscribers, before it was aired on television across the world, lawyers looked at this, executives looked at this, C-level people looked at this, and every frame was approved by a team or teams of people. So there's no way that this was not intentional.
Yes.
And I don't know. I think the internet might be right on this one. That I think we might be. So. Yeah, I think that there's an Uncharted in our future. Because also, like to go back to your point about Ratchet, I think we're fools to think that such a successful franchise would never come back.
Mhm.
And if Naughty Dog is on record saying we are done with Uncharted, PlayStation would be fools to not say, okay, then who's going to make it for us?
Yeah.
Because
But
I'm not necessarily someone that wakes up in the morning and goes, really hope that we get a new Uncharted announcement today. But if we do, I'm going to be excited.
Oh,
because I
I'm
love
the
the
person
franchise.
that wakes up every morning says that because
Sure.
Uncharted is categorically is my favorite franchise.
Yeah.
I love those games. I would love to step back in the shoes of that world. I think that it's just so beautiful, and everything about that game always feels really good. It doesn't matter which one. So my thing is,
sure.
there is one of those games that does not feel very good to play now. I think 2 and 3 still feel really good. 4 obviously feels amazing, but 1 kind of sucks.
One kind of sucks.
1 kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie. Look, this is my favorite franchise. 1 kind of sucks.
I mean, it came out in what, 2007?
Yeah, so it was like a launch title for the PlayStation. I think it came out in 2006. Honestly,
Might have been.
Look, it didn't age very well. There's a lot of stuff. So like, I could definitely see them being like, "Fuck it," with Naughty Dog's approval and their guidance. Let's remake Uncharted 1 and kind of start, like, see if there's a lot of interest now.
Do you think they would be more likely to start over telling Nate's story? Because in order to do that, you probably got to get Nolan North, you got to get the whole team back. Or do they start over and reboot the franchise with new characters?
That's a good point.
I kind of would rather them reboot it with new characters.
I would be.
It's riskier.
Yeah, it is definitely riskier. And honestly, like, I feel a bit of nervousness. Especially if they're rebooting it and it's not under Naughty Dog.
Fair.
Because,
Fair.
and don't get me wrong,
very
like,
fair concern.
this version of Naughty Dog now is very different than Naughty Dog when they made the first Uncharted game.
100%.
We had Amy Hennig, who was heading that shit up and did an amazing job. She's wonderful, especially when it comes to like pulpy action stuff. Just top-notch shit. And the thing is, the story of Uncharted 1 still holds up really well. And a lot of those story beats hold up super well. It's just the gameplay itself, there's like just weird spikes in difficulty. And like some moments just don't feel very good. And the gameplay is very loose and just doesn't feel like the other games.
Yeah.
Like, you could definitely tell like they matured a lot in their development cycles, going into 2 and 3 respectively. But yeah, no, I mean, it definitely be riskier, but I could also see them taking a different approach where it does follow up where Uncharted 4 ends, or we end up in a situation where we follow characters like Chloe or something like that, where we get to see what they're up to in this new world. And I mean, I think it would be interesting. I'm not going to turn down. I'm not going to turn down seeing more, like getting more Uncharted. I think I just would approach it a little bit differently if Naughty Dog's not the one who's heading it.
I was just visited by a muse, Cayman. The answer just came to me like a silver bullet. This franchise is being rebooted. They are telling the Nathan Drake story. And who's playing Nathan Drake?
Oh, God damn it. Timothy
Tom
Chalamet.
Holland.
Oh,
no, Tom
okay.
Holland. We're getting Tom Holland as Nathan Drake video games. They're doing the whole video. Timothy Chalamet would be amazing though. Sully as Chris Pratt, or Chris Pratt as Sully. But I mean,
never mind. I take it back. Just kill it. Don't just kill it right now. I don't need it nor want it.
I don't know. If they have the money,
you don't know. I do know. Please kill it.
All right. Well, you heard it here first, folks. But yeah, let us know what you think. Do you want more Uncharted? Do you think that's Uncharted? Tell us everything. Tell us nothing. Whatever you want to do. Just come on over. Come to the comments. Tell us. Cayman, why don't we wrap up the show? We're going to bring it back to the end with a little update to the calendar.
Bring it back to the end. Bring it back to the end.
So here's a little update, and then if we're so inclined at the end, we'll do a little just a few minutes of spoiler corner. So PlayStation Plus right now, or not right now, February games have been leaked, but this guy has leaked the list the last like several times. So this is it. It's going to be Destiny 2 Beyond Light. It's going to be Ollie Ollie World. It's going to be Evil Dead the game and Mafia Definitive Edition. I gotta say, pretty strong month.
Yeah, no, I think this is solid. Anyone out there who wants to play Evil Dead the game, just hit me up. I would gladly get back in and play with you because that game is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, this is a game I will definitely be downloading. I remember when we did, I don't even remember which episode it was, but I said I wanted to download. I think it was the Game of the Year award situation. But I wanted to download it and give it a shot. And Mafia Definitive Edition, I played the original Mafia way back. Like that could be a fun if we're in light season, backlog just doesn't feel right, but I want to play a little Mafia. That could be fun. I unfortunately already purchased Ollie Ollie World on a Switch, but maybe I'll play it on a PlayStation because I'm not playing it on my Switch. That's for sure. And then Xbox Game Pass, actually also Nintendo Switch Online, GoldenEye 007 has been released.
Did you play it on Game Pass? Because I've been hearing a lot of things about this Switch version.
I did play it on Game Pass a little bit, and I played the first level, and I had a great time. Honestly, the game is ass. The game is pure ass. Like we remember it being great. It's not a good game, but I had fun with it because it was fueled by nostalgia.
Sure.
And I'm always and I always have been, always will be hot for Pierce Brosnan.
So
granted, this looks like a Pierce Brosnan who was melted in a microwave, but it's Pierce Brosnan nonetheless.
Okay, so here's the thing about this for anyone out there who wants to play. Apparently, on the Game Pass version, the Xbox version of the game, you have full control of the analog sticks. It has been made to work with that. However, there is no analog stick for the Switch version. Which
you have to D-pad it?
You have to D-pad. So you cannot move your camera, and apparently the controls are miserable unless you have the currently sold out Nintendo 64 controller, which
the
is
Nintendo 64 controller that I've tried to buy 7 times, but it immediately sells out every time it's in stock.
Yeah. So apparently, if you want to play online and play with your friends and do multiplayer mode, it is almost completely unplayable.
How do they always do this? How does Nintendo fumble the bag every fucking time with these online releases?
Honestly, at this point, it's kind of comical.
I mean, it kind of is, but like it's such a shame because the Game Pass version, you can't play online multiplayer. It's some weird licensing agreement deal. You can only play online with friends on the Switch version. You can play couch multiplayer on the Xbox version, but man, what a shitty thing. But the Xbox version runs great from the little bit I played. And then also, as we mentioned a lot earlier in the show, Hi-Fi Rush out now on Game Pass. And then Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition is out now on console. I guess they ported it over to work with an Xbox controller instead of a mouse and a keyboard. So if you're a fucking nerd and want to play Age of Empires 2, it's out now on Game Pass. And then a couple updates. Sadly, Star Wars Jedi Survivor has been pushed back by 6 weeks, but they did say that apparently the game is done. They're just bug fixing. So I say sadly, I'm fine with it.
Honestly, it was releasing, I think, like the same week as Resident Evil 4 Remake. So this is probably for the best anyway.
Yeah.
Because that does give us a little bit more time to like actually enjoy. Like we can now enjoy both games separately. I'm more inclined to play this day one now, knowing that it's a month back. So I actually think that this is even better.
Yeah. And with him saying we're just doing this to polish. Fantastic. The first game was so beautiful and perfect. So yeah, give it to me polished on April 28th, 2023. And then finally, there's a new Hitman mode out for Hitman 3 called Hitman Freelancer that is essentially turning Hitman into a roguelite. And I got to say, once I have more time on my hands, I want to play the shit out of this because I love Hitman. And this sounds like a really fucking cool mode.
That sounds awesome.
The Hitman community, not that I'm like, I don't, keep tabs on it, but the people that I do follow that like Hitman have been like, this game rocks like this. So I'm excited to try that out. So if you are a Hitman player, check it out. I think it's live now, I'm pretty sure. So go give it a play. And that's it for our show. If you want to stick around after we sign off, we're going to do a little Last of Us show spoiler discussion. Only a few minutes. I've already came in an hour and 17 minutes. I don't want to keep them any longer. But let's say if you enjoyed the show, share with your friends, call your mom, call your dad, call your grandma, call your grandpa, call your brother, your sister, anyone in your life. Doesn't matter who they are to you. Tell them about the show that you enjoyed it. But fuck Keith. Don't butt fuck Keith.
I mean, unless he likes it.
Right. If it's consensual.
He gives consent, yes.
As long we're all about consent on Spotlight Games. Check us out on YouTube at Spotlight Games Pod. Go give us a follow on Twitch, twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod. Twitter, Spot Games Pod, Instagram, TikTok, Spotlight Games Pod as well. Safe Trash Cinema at Safe Trash Cinema on all socials. Isn't that right, Cayman?
That's it.
And Spotlight TV at Spotlight TV Pod on all socials. You'll get a little bit of a glimpse of what that podcast is like here in the next few minutes. But Cayman, where can they follow you if they want to follow you on socials?
Yeah, you follow me at Kid Cayman on Twitter. Honestly, I don't really ever post on anything other than Twitter, but even then I rarely do that. But hey, like you said, Save Trash Cinema at Save Trash Cinema on all socials, and we post there. So
hell yeah. And I also want to mention, I've been meaning to mention this for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I keep forgetting. And then finally, one of our sweet friends joined the Discord. We have a Spotlight Games Discord. So if you're still listening this far into the episode, I'm going to put the link in our bio, and not our bio. I mean, well, it will be in our bio too, but it'll be in the description of the podcast. I want to start utilizing the Discord. I'm not a Discord boy, so I'm learning a lot about Discord. And that's why I made this like a year ago, and I just haven't done anything with it. And then our friends found it without me telling them about it. So if you're a Discord person, come on over to our Discord. We'll figure out how the fuck to use it at some point. Cayman, that's our show.
Oh, it is.
So goodbye, everyone, unless you want to talk spoilers about The Last of Us. That's going to begin in 3, 2, 1. Spoiler warning, get out if you don't want to hear us talk about what the next episode might bring. Cayman.
Yes.
We talked a little bit about this on Spotlight TV this week, but we can't spoil shit over there because Jeremiah has not played the game.
Sure, because he's a loser.
He's what a loser. Nerd. Fucking nerd. Here's my question to you.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to Pittsburgh this week. Yep. We're getting from the original OG trailer, the guy pretending, oh, I'm hurt. And Joe being like, I was on both sides. I've been on both sides, Eddie. I've been on both sides. I've been on both sides. Do you think we're going to get, like, how much Pittsburgh do you think we're like? Do you think this whole episode is going to be Pittsburgh? Do you think we're going to get like all that kind of action from the game? Like, what do you envision this episode to look like? Yeah,
I definitely. So we know we're going to get Melanie Linsky. She's going to appear. So I definitely, like I said on that episode, I was like, I definitely feel like she's going to be the head of like a raiding group, or like the head of like a group of outcasts or something along those lines. She's going to be a villain. I do think this episode is going to be very action heavy. We had a very beautiful episode with, I mean, arguably the best episode of TV I think I've ever seen. And so as much as I love that, I think that the most logical next move is to pivot from like a very personal episode to a very action episode, just to kind of satiate the audience a little bit.
Sure.
So I think that is going to be very heavy. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if they start including things that they've cut into this episode. So I think that we could potentially have where Joel, because we didn't get it, because essentially if you've played the game or not played the game, whatever, who cares? You're still here. It's your spoilers, right?
Right. Everything's fair game.
Everything's fair game. In Billstown, you step in a trap, Joel gets yanked up into the air, and he has to essentially try to defend Ellie while in the air. I think we're going to get something similar to that. Like, I definitely could see that could be something that they work in, because that is like one of those big moments that everyone remembers. It does give me pause, though, because now Ellie has a gun.
Yes.
So the question is this going to be the moment? Like, is she going to, but I just feel like the way they set that up with her, like, snatching the gun up, hiding it real quick, like that's going to come back sometime later. So I don't know if it makes sense for this to happen now, but I could see them starting to fold some stuff in. I also could see that this is when we're going to see the bloater. I could definitely see that this is the episode where we get the bloater. I don't know when in the episode. It seems like something that would be like one of those like last 5 minutes is this massive like fucking bloater coming out and shit going insane.
Yeah,
because they don't. From the way it sounds, just from like from the episode 2 when they're talking about the different types of clickers and runners and everything infected.
Yeah.
They don't even mention that bloaters exist. So I'm wondering if Joel doesn't know that they exist either, and that would be fucking awesome.
See, well, when they're having that conversation, she's like, well, there's ones that can like throw balls of like spores at you or whatever, which bloaters do that. So my read on it, I agree with you in that I feel like they don't know what a bloater is, and that
Or
they're
they
gonna
think it's a
find out.
tall tale, it's a legend or
Right,
some shit
right,
like that.
but
Like this doesn't exist. This is people being fucking idiots.
right, and maybe they don't throw things of spores because they've kind of said spores aren't a thing.
Yeah.
Although maybe in this capacity they could be, but they're not. It wouldn't infect you per se. Maybe it would, like, burn you or something. I don't know, but
Well, the scene that we've seen it though was like coming out almost out of the floor of somewhere, and there's fire everywhere, but we don't get like a good shot of that.
right.
So I'm kind of curious. Like,
Yeah, I could see. So two things I wanted to talk about with the bloater. I could see the bloater being, if we ever get either the university, or if we get the hospital in Salt Lake before they go, like right before the final chapter of the game. I could see them somehow working a bloater into one of those segments, perhaps. I mean, in the game there is a bloater in the university, but I could see it potentially being that. But I also wonder if, because that kind of a moment, that big of an action set piece, if HBO does kind of how they do with Game of Thrones, feels kind of like it'll be a penultimate episode thing. Like episode 8, we'll probably get this huge whatever, whether it's out at like David's place or whatever. I don't know. But with this episode, to go back to it, to a different point I wanted to mention with the gun that you mentioned, I have a little theory about the gun. I think because there's the moment in the game where it's that moment of like, okay, I trust you now. Here is a gun from Joel to Ellie. Now that she has it, I think in this next episode, there'll be a moment where Joel's in trouble. And instead of like in the game in the hotel when Ellie picks up the gun and kills the guy, and then she like gets in trouble by him, like, you didn't do, I told you to wait downstairs or whatever. But it's like, dude, I fucking just saved your ass.
yeah.
I think that moment will happen. It just, she's already gonna have the gun, and then we'll still get the like, ultimately he still chooses to like give it to her later or whatever, but he probably like takes it from her or something.
Sure.
I think that's how they're gonna play that moment. But maybe not.
Do you think there's going to be a moment where Joel realizes whose gun she has too? Because that's another thing.
That it's Frank's gun, sure.
That it is Frank's gun. That, remember, because I wonder, the reason I mention that is I wonder if it plays into the fact that that gun, because remember Frank says that he traded strawberries for a gun.
Yo,
that could be the gun, and that's going to be like the catalyst of that moment, is her being like, him being like, that is Frank's gun, or him being like, that is Tess's gun.
That is Tess's gun. Oh my god, came in.
Fuck, bro.
I never put that together. That's genius. I think that's as good a spot to end as any.
All right, I love it. Can't wait for that episode on Sunday.
Let us know if you do listen this far and you like these spoilers. Let us know if you like this little spoiler corner at the end of the podcast, because we can do them more if you like it. But if you don't want to be spoiled and you didn't listen to this, I guess you can't tell me. But anyway, that's it. Until we meet again.
Yeah.